Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to unpack the topics really shaping the conversation, especially for you if you're watching Nigeria's political scene closely. If you're hoping for real change, understanding the key players is vital. And that brings us to Atiku Abubakar. Today, we're digging into this really interesting article from Restore Nigeria News. It's titled, Agenda 2027, Enter Atiku Abubakar, Generalissimo of Nigerian Politics, Poised to Lead the ADC's 2027 Presidency chart. So our goal is to figure out why the article calls him the Generalissimo. We'll look at his profile, especially now that he might be leading this unified opposition party, the African Democratic Congress, or ADC, into 2027.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating, I think, is how the piece frames him. It's not just, Atiku as another candidate. It positions him more as the coordinator, the driving force behind this whole opposition coalition, the NOCG, the National Opposition Coalition Group, which, as the article states, has now adopted the ADC as its party. So yeah, this dive will look into the background, the experiences that make him a contender.
Okay, let's get into it then. His journey. The article calls him, nearing 79, a colossus. 36 years in national politics. Yeah. That's a long time. And it tags him Generalissimo, Supreme Commander, basically. It paints his personal story as a real Nigerian dream.
It really does. I mean, starting as a herder boy, right? Then moving up in the Nigerian Customs Service, making it to deputy director, and then, of course, vice president. It also mentions he started school late, age 8. Apparently, his father was skeptical about Western education initially, but his drive for learning seems consistent. Even after being VP, he went back and got a master's degree in international relations in 2021. Quite something.
Right. Now, the article flags this moment in the Customs Service, 1984 53 suitcases controversy. That sounds pretty dramatic. What's the story there?
Well, yeah, it's presented as a real test of character. See, the military government back then had this decree, a tough one, against money laundering, required searching all luggage. So, when the Emir of Gwandu returns from pilgrimage with 53 suitcases and refuses a search at the Lagos airport, well, Atiku was the head of customs there. And he stood his ground, refused to release the bags, pointing to the government's own rules.
Okay. So he used their own rules against the request.
Exactly. It led to this major standoff. Soldiers eventually came and, overpowered the customs officers. But the article highlights this as showing his, and I'm quoting here, stubborn firmness, irrepressible spirit, and courage to stand against malgovernance. Apparently, this incident pretty much blocked his chances of ever heading the service, leading him to resign voluntarily in 1989 after 20 years.
Wow. Okay, so that incident seems like a real turning point, directly leading into politics.
It seems so. Right after that, he was invited into politics by General Shehu Musa Yar'Adua. They formed the People's Front of Nigeria, the PF, a pro-democracy group, and Atiku quickly became national vice chairman. That group later merged into the Social Democratic Party, the SDP, and interestingly, the article says he won the SDP governorship primary in Adamawa in 91.
He won it, so why didn't he become governor?
Disqualified. The military government disqualified him. The article suggests it was because of that earlier stubbornness, the suitcase issue, plus his links to Yar'Adua, who they didn't trust.
Right. And then there was the 93 presidential primary. He was almost on the ticket then, too.
Yes, that's another key moment the article points to. After Yar'Adua was barred, Atiku ran in the SDP primary. After the first round, he made a deal, swung his support to Moshood Abiola. The arrangement was that Atiku would be Abiola's running mate, the VP candidate.
But that election got annulled, didn't it?
Exactly. The military stepped in again, annulled the results. A huge setback for democracy at the time.
Okay, so moving on, the article calls him the Great Unifier. Where did that title come from? How did he earn it, according to the source?
Well, it goes back to the roots. The PF and its successor, the PDM, the People's Democratic Movement, they were founded by Yar'Adua with this specific goal, unite Nigeria, to fight against, tribalism, regionalism, religious divides. Their motto was literally, no tribe, no religion. Oh. The article says Atiku was born and baptized into this political philosophy. So this idea of building bridges across all of Nigeria's diverse groups, it's been central to his whole career. That's where the unifier tag comes from.
Makes sense. Okay, so he becomes vice president under Obasanjo, 1999 to 2007. What does the article highlight from that period, particularly on the economy and maybe governance?
Right. As VP, his focus was largely the economy and socio-political stability. The article credits him with bringing in some really sharp people, names like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala for finance, Charles Soludo at the central bank.
Big names.
Absolutely. And the article lists some major achievements under their watch. setting up the National Integrated Power Project, NIPP, which resulted in 11 new power plants, pushing through privatization of a lot of, frankly, poorly run government companies, a huge one, introducing GSM mobile phones in 2001. Think about it going from like 400,000 lines to over 70 million.
Yeah,
Transformed communication.
definitely. That was massive.
Yeah, and establishing the Debt Management Office, the DMO, in 2005, that led to paying off billions in debt and getting even more canceled. Plus, coordinating the setup of the early anti-corruption bodies, ICPC and EFCC. By 2007, the article notes, Nigeria's economy was ranked 31st globally, second largest in Africa at the time.
Impressive list. But that period also had major conflict, right? The article mentioned the third-term agenda with President Obasanjo. How did that play out?
Ah, yes, that was a big one. A real breaking point, according to the article. It says, Atiku flat out refused to support Obasanjo's move to change the constitution so he could run for a third term. There's even a quote in the article where Atiku supposedly told Obasanjo, Nigeria is not Libya, not Egypt, not Cameroon, and not Togo. I said you must leave, even if it means both of us lose out, but you cannot stay.
Wow. Strong words.
Very. And the article says he then used his networks, his political skills to rally opposition within the National Assembly and actually defeat the third-term bill. Obasanjo apparently even called him a civilian general because of how effectively he marshaled the opposition.
A civilian general. Okay, but that must have come at a cost,
Yeah.
standing up to the president like that.
Oh, absolutely. A huge cost. The article details a pretty intense backlash. Smear campaigns, allegations, attempts to hurt his businesses. It basically forced him out of the PDP, the ruling party at the time. He ended up running for president in 2007 under a different party banner. And even then, the article mentions INEC tried to disqualify him. The Supreme Court eventually said he could run, but it was too late by then. The damage was done. The source calls these epic political struggles that really cemented his reputation as someone who defends democratic principles, even when it's tough.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. His political compass, his vision. What does the article say about his core beliefs politically and economically?
Politically, the article describes him as a centrist, middle of the road. Economically, it says he leans towards a mixed economy model, but with a real focus on tangible production, things like agriculture, manufacturing, energy, education, not just finance or services. And his overall vision, it seems deeply rooted in that PFPDM idea we talked about, overcoming the destructive politics of division based on tribe, region, or religion. He wants to unite Nigerians for, well, stability and prosperity.
And the article connects that vision directly to the situation now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It seems quite pointed about the current administration.
It is, yeah. Atiku sees the current APC government, particularly the Muslim presidency under Tinubu, and what he calls lopsided and exclusionist appointments. He sees this as a dangerous threat to Nigeria's unity, a gross betrayal, the article says, of that unifying principle he believes in.
And that's the driver behind forming this new coalition.
Exactly, according to the article, that sense of urgency, that perceived threat, is why he apparently felt the need to bring together other opposition leaders to form the National Opposition Coalition Group, the NOCG.
Right, the NOCG. So this group adopting the ADC party, that's the main vehicle for 2027 then.
That's how the article presents it. The NOCG, led by Atiku, picking the African Democratic Congress, ADC, as their unified platform. Specifically, the article states to challenge what it describes as the exclusionist and irredentist APC. And it credits Atiku's unifying reputation and organizational skills for the ADC's swift rise into becoming the main opposition force almost overnight after the coalition adopted it.
Okay, his influence. The article makes a big claim. Indubitably one of Nigeria's most influential persons. What's the basis for that, according to the source? What gives him that level of clout?
It points to the sheer breadth and depth of his experience. 20 years in customs, remember. Plus, now 36 years involved in major businesses, education, manufacturing, aviation, banking, real estate, and operating at the very top levels of national politics for decades. The article argues this combination has made him literally an institution in himself. It even places him in what it calls Nigeria's super powerful elite, a tiny inner circle, maybe 4 or 5 people who the article suggests you have to consult on the biggest national issues. That reach across business, politics, and different regions is key to that influence.
Beyond just general influence, are there specific causes or policies he's known for championing?
Yes, the article highlights his consistent push for strong institutions and systems for, national growth and unity. But the big one it emphasizes is true federalism. That's his signature policy proposal, really.
True federalism. What does that mean in practice, according to his view?
It means restructuring Nigeria, shifting more power and responsibilities away from the central federal government down to the states. He argues things like education, healthcare, housing, agriculture, even basic policing. These should largely be state responsibilities. The article quotes him receiving a Hero of Democracy award, where he said decentralization deepens democracy, increases accountability. He argued true federalism would make states compete, attract investment and talent, instead of just waiting for Abuja to send money each month.
Okay, so that puts him firmly in the camp, arguing for a less centralized Nigeria.
Precisely. It aligns with the view that stability and progress depend on building these unifying structures and, crucially, sticking to constitutional rules, not concentrating power so heavily at the center, which he feels breeds division.
Let's talk business. We hear about politicians having business interests, but the article really plays up Atiku's business success, calls him one of Nigeria's most accomplished businessmen, a major employer. What does that empire look like?
Well, it started small, back in '74. A loan for his first rental property in Yola. Then he got into trading. But today, yeah, the article describes a really vast portfolio. Aviation, hospitality, banking. It mentions he co-founded Habib Bank, which later became Bank PHB, and he's a major investor in Taj Bank.
Taj Bank. The article notes something specific about their lending.
Yes, it highlights that Taj Bank prioritizes lending to women in agriculture and small, medium enterprises, which is quite specific. And beyond banking, there's energy logistics, manufacturing, and a big focus on education.
Okay, so what are the flagship investments? The ones that really show his approach, what the article calls industrial capitalists.
Right, the focus is on the real sector, building things, producing things. So in education, there's the APTI chain leading up to the American University of Nigeria, AUN, in Yola. The article mentions Google even called it Africa's most IT-intensive university.
Impressive.
Then energy logistics. He co-founded Intel's Integrated Energy and Logistics Company. It's described as Nigeria's dominant player in oil and gas logistics, port development, with operations across Africa and Europe, and manufacturing. He owns Adama Beverages. They make Faro drinks and water. The key thing there is they process local fruits, reducing waste for farmers. Also, Rico Gado, Nigeria, apparently one of the country's biggest animal feed makers. The article connects this to reducing farmer-herder clashes by providing feed. And critically, it stresses that Rico Gado sources all its raw materials locally. That directly boosts Nigerian agriculture, creates local jobs. That's the industrial capitalist angle the article emphasizes.
Okay, that paints a picture of significant real sector investment. What about his personal life? Does the article offer any insights there?
It touches on it briefly, notes he's Muslim, and it points to his family life as reflecting his detribalized outlook. He married 4 wives, each from one of Nigeria's main tribes and regions, Yoruba, Hausa, Fulani, and Igbo, although it mentions a recent divorce from his Igbo wife, Jennifer. The article describes his household as basically being a mini Nigeria in itself, mirroring the country's diversity.
Interesting. Any other personal details, hobbies, interests?
Well, it says he's widely traveled, cosmopolitan, seen at major events. For hobbies, maybe tennis and squash occasionally. But the fun detail the article throws in is that he's a massive longtime fan of Arsenal, the English football club.
Ah, Gooner.
Apparently so. It mentions he shares his euphoric delights and traumatic anguish about their matches on social media, makes him seem a bit more, relatable.
Definitely does. Okay, so let's try to pull this all together. Strategically, what's the ultimate goal for Atiku Abubakar, according to this article, especially with this NOCG and ADC development?
The primary goal, as the article puts it, is leading Nigeria towards becoming united, stable, and prosperous. It really emphasizes his belief that Nigeria's diversity should be a strength, not a source of division. He wants to transform it from, quote, an instrument of divisive hate into something positive, something that drives progress. So, convening the NOCG, adopting the ADC, the article frames this as a direct strategy to democratically challenge and defeat the ruling APC, and specifically to defeat what the article calls their dangerous politics of tribal, regional, and religious suprematism, which it warns could lead to social conflagrations.
So the immediate goal for 2027 is pretty clear then.
Absolutely. As the convener, the de facto leader of this NOC-UDC coalition party, the immediate objective is straightforward. Organize the party, rally support, and lead the ADC to victory in the 2027 election. That's the explicit aim presented.
Right. So looking at everything we've discussed, what's the article's final take, its prognosis for Atiku?
It concludes he's not just a top politician, but truly one of Nigeria's most powerful prime movers. That nickname, the Great Unifier, keeps coming up, linked to his lifelong work building bridges. He's positioned as a strong voice for structural reform, for inclusion, for boosting national productivity. And it highlights his pragmatic, collaborative style, leveraging his experience and networks.
And how does that connect to his view of the Nigerian project?
The article uses this really strong metaphor. It says Atiku feels Nigeria is like an unfinished bridge, a project that must be completed. So the prognosis is simple. He's going to keep working on that Nigerian project until, as the article says, its logical conclusion.
Hmm.
Having done almost everything else in politics except win the presidency, the article states it's basically taken for a fact that he will be on the ballot in 2027, leading the ADC.
And the very final thought from the article ties his profile directly to Nigeria's needs right now.
Yes, precisely. It sums up his profile as showing irrepressible determination, reformative, inclusive, and compassionate leadership. And then it concludes that, given Nigeria's struggles with what it calls ethnoidal and exclusionist malgovernance, Atiku eminently qualifies him as the exact leader Nigeria needs to defeat the entrenched forces driving these divisions, and which must be decisively defeated, to reshape Nigeria's post-2027 polity, a very strong concluding statement.
Wow, okay. So reflecting on this deep dive into Atiku Abubakar's profile, his long history, his vision, his current strategy, it certainly gives us a lot to think about regarding 2027 and the direction of Nigerian politics. We've seen this picture of someone constantly battling challenges, always pushing for unity.
Indeed. You trace that thread throughout the narrative, presented this consistent push for unifying institutions, for a restructured Nigeria, for accountability. For you listening, if you're looking for change in 2027, understanding the background and the current positioning of a figure like this, definitely crucial context.
Absolutely. So here's something to mull over as we wrap up. If we take that analogy, the article uses Nigeria as an unfinished bridge and Atiku's commitment to completing it. What specific actions do you think are most vital to finally finish that bridge? And looking beyond 2027, what role do you see for yourself in shaping Nigeria's path forward?